getting bigger.
It probably is.
Freaking hurts.
And we're back.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Right now we're back?
Right now we're back.
That fast?
That fast.
Wow.
That wasn't that fast. That was actually an eternity.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That thing's getting bigger?
Yeah, dude, it's massive.
Like, it looks like I just want to pop it.
It's throbbing. It's like, wong, wong.
Maybe it's an eyeball growing on your hand.
It is. Can you get a close-up of this?
It's the gate. We don't want to get a close-up of that. That is a horror show right there.
The one on my foot's 10 times bigger than that.
I don't want to think about it. It's skeeving me out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we talked about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I had these warts frozen off today.
Okay.
They were frozen with like nitrous or whatever they freeze these things with.
Sure.
And after that, after the freezing process, they injected yeast into them. So not only were
bread feet.
Yeah, not only was it painful for the frosting freezing process.
They put butter on it afterwards?
But yeah, they injected yeast into these warts after the freezing process.
Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. So,
I don't even know what to say about
now,
that.
Now, I mean, they're growing like yeast makes a bread grow. These warts.
I'm just waiting for it to like literally. It's going to turn into a horror movie in here. Where literally it's just going to explode in the middle of the podcast.
It is a horror movie right now inside my body. These things are just throbbing, just wong, 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 wong. Like, not fun.
So
not fun. But I do feel better than I did last night because we had to postpone last night.
We did.
I had a horrible headache. My head was like wong, wong.
Yeah,
wong.
and like I said, it was I made sure to put out the notice that hey, we are going to be delayed. I do not believe this is COVID related.
No, it's allergies. I'm allergic to mold, and I think the leaves.
Mold.
I think the leaves this year have had a lot of mold on them because every time I walk by a tree, I get like this whiff of mold. Oh, I've talked to other people who are allergic to mold, and they have a very sensitive smell to that smell. Mold.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So I whenever I'm near something moldy, it like wafts into my nose, and I get like a strong scent of mold, mildew, stench,
dead bodies.
So yeah, I think the leaves.
Smelling dead
for some
bodies.
Reason, the leaves are really bad with mold this year.
That's interesting. I wonder why that.
As
would
well
be.
as my thumb.
Your thumb is full. Well, now it's just full of yeast
and mold
and
warts.
It is a you-know-what show over there.
Yeah, it's Shocktober, baby.
Shocktober. Your thumb is spoopy.
It is spoopy.
It is a comedy of horrors right there.
Yes, along with my demon lover.
A comedy of horrors. So I want to get back into some horror movies that just freak you out, creep you out. More on my list is well shorter than yours, but because I was thinking more of just what on the top of my head popped in there and said I have a hard time rewatching this movie because of X, Y, or Z, right?
Yeah, I definitely want to check out The Gate.
The Gate, I'm telling you right now, man, like that is one. I don't have it set up, or I would just run it. I would just roll the trailer for the audience to see, but it. I'm telling you right now, it is a does
the trailer exist for that movie?
Oh, absolutely, it does.
It does.
It does. Absolutely, it does.
What I find is a lot of these trailers have been lost to time. Like there's a lot of classic horror movies that I like.
Possibly. I mean, I could see that, but YouTube is an incredible machine. Like what I've been able to find there are things I've been able to find on YouTube I should never have been able to find. I mean, at any point in time, you can watch a Mr. Bungle, PSA on YouTube. I think that's.
Did you know there's a band called Mr. Bungle?
That's awesome.
They're like a heavy metal. They're like a death metal band.
That's awesome. There's
Named
another
after Mr. Bungle.
So on the and I've talked about this before on Twitch. There, the Twitch community is great, and you start finding people that you really link up with and you enjoy, and you're like-minded on things. And there's another streamer that I do watch from time to time, and he just the other night he was going through YouTube and watching old PSAs. And it was some of the funniest damn things. And one of the conversations we got on was the old Showbiz Pizza band, and how the guys, I don't even know if you know this or not, but the guys that composed the music for that original Showbiz Pizza Billy Bob band, whatever they were called.
Billy Bob was my favorite, man.
They now have they're still making music like they are a part of Showbiz Pizza, even though they're not, but it's adult.
You're kidding me.
I got to figure out what they're called.
This I have to see.
It's on.
See this, I must.
It's on, Apple Music or whatever. Showbiz.
See this, I must. Yes.
Showbiz Pizza band name. Hold on, wait for it. The Rockafire Explosion.
And this is Billy Bob from Showbiz Pizza. Before Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes. So
that's
not before. No, not
that's
before.
Phenomenal.
Not before Chuck E. Cheese. Or yes, I'm sorry. Yes, before Chuck E. Cheese. This is Billy Bob. The Rock. What was it called? The Rockafire.
This is news to me.
The Rockafire Explosion.
This is fascinating news.
Okay. The Rockafire Explosion, they have, they're on Apple Music, right? You can find them under artist. Okay?
Really?
They have a song from 2011. Again, they're still making music as if they're the Billy Bob band on stage.
Sure.
That's called I Ain't Gay.
That's awesome.
It's hilarious. And so what people have done now, to the Rockafire Explosion new music that is coming out in the early 2000s, late 2000s, 11, 12, 15, whatever, they're taking their songs and then they're applying it to old home videos of people recording the Billy Bob band.
That's fantastic.
At Chuck E. Cheese or at Showbiz.
Truly fantastic.
So what you do is you look at like you can search Showbiz Pizza I Ain't Gay, and you'll find a video, like a home video of somebody panning back and forth
while Billy Bob's
playing guitar, singing I Ain't Gay.
It
gets the most absurd thing I've ever seen. I didn't know I didn't know that existed until just recently. Like I knew, you've seen in the club, right? The Showbiz
I don't know.
Pizza in the club. Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Oh my God. Hold on.
I'm familiar with the dinosaurs. It's TV show done to Notorious Big.
We're going to have to
B.I.G.
Showbiz. I mean, this is going to be just a little bit of show and tell here. Showbiz. We're not going to be able to play much of this. Showbiz Pizza.
Did you ever see the dinosaurs one with Biggie Smalls? Do you remember the TV show The Dinosaurs?
Absolutely.
It was like a sitcom with these people dressed up as dinosaurs.
Do you remember the TV show Dinosaurs?
Oh yeah, the baby, not the mama.
Do you remember how that show ended?
No, I don't.
It's awful. The entire series of Dinosaurs ends with them sitting in their kitchen knowing the world is ending.
Awesome.
As snow is falling outside, literally it's like a giant long dolly shot out their window as all the ice is coming down because of the meteor strike and everything. They're sitting there waiting to die. That's the end of that comedy show. It's insane. Google hilarious. That. I'm telling you right now, you Google the series finale of Dinosaur, it'll make you cry.
That's awesome. No, there's a YouTube video of the big fat dad dinosaur rapping Biggie Smalls, and the babies go in his high chair, dancing to Biggie Smalls. It's hilarious.
Right. Okay, I can't play this too loud. Just watch that for a second while I talk about it. But people are taking these old home videos now of No, you have to watch it. You have to watch it. You can't.
Well, I gotta hear it, man. I have to hear this.
Well, put it up to the microphone then a little bit. So but you have to watch. The whole point is to watch it. Okay, because people are taking these old home videos of Showbiz Pizza animatronics dancing around and stuff like that to these songs, and they match. Like, who came up? Like, who found that old home video and said, you know what? Usher's Love in the Club is going to match this thing. Anyway, okay, I gave you a taste.
That's great. So when I was a kid, I had a Billy Bob toy, and my dog chewed its nose off, and I was devastated. That was like my favorite toy was Billy Bob from Showbiz Pizza. Billy Bob, Showbiz Pizza.
And Billy Bob is still there. They just call it Chuck E. Cheese, I think.
Yeah, they put like a different skin over Billy Bob.
Something.
Like the animatronics were still the same. It was probably still like the same creepy animatronic, but with a different skin over the top.
It's crazy. The stuff, man, I'm telling you right now, the stuff that we grew up with is that's a freaking horror show.
That's Thundercats on Ice, baby.
Thundercats on Ice. That right there is a horror show. That gave me nightmares for a month when I saw old Lion-O in that outfit next to Gumby. So speaking of nightmares, I have a big problem with clowns.
Okay,
I don't like them.
Fair enough.
I specifically don't go to the circus because of said clowns.
So how do you feel about killer clowns from outer space?
So the killer clowns from outer space can lick my butt crack. Okay.
That didn't make my list, but it is an interesting horror flick.
So sorry. Something just popped in there. Speaking of horror flicks are the I got to bring this up.
Sure.
Your student film, Jugs on Jupiter. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah.
So the women in that did most of the work.
Okay, what do you mean? You mean they wrote it or whatever?
They wrote it.
Gotcha.
It was, them snowballing ideas. The whole thing was them.
That is a wild... when their boobs explode... I have to find... There's going to be a day really, really soon where all we do is watch...
Jugs on Jupiter.
These old student films of ours and old... Because this comes into something else I'm going to talk about here in a second. But going back through all these old videos of ours...
Mm-hmm.
And when you had brought in that Virtual Boy, and in that case of that Virtual Boy was your old Hi8 camera that we shot our Blair Witch Project spoof on called
The Butt Itch Project.
The Butt Itch Project. And that's what popped into my head was, do I still have that? And the answer is yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do.
It'd be fun to live stream
all
us,
90 minutes of it, baby.
Live stream us watching that.
So here's what,
doing Beavis and Butthead.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna Mystery Science Theater 3000 this sumbitch. So because here's what happened is back when we did that movie, and I know we have gotten way off topic from the clowns, but
we'll circle around. The Terrifier.
The Terrifier. Back when we did that, that is I want to say it's like a 90-minute long feature length film. Okay. Spoofing the Blair Witch Project.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was all improv.
It was all completely improv. And I feel like going back and watching it right now, I feel like we were challenging each other on
kind of what I do to you now.
Yeah.
Where I play devil's advocate.
Right.
And just try to make you.
But it was
try to make you think on the spot.
Trying to keep me on my toes. Like there was, I going back and watching a little bit of it tonight before we got going. There were several moments where I was like, you are being a turd. Purposefully trying to halt all progress we were having with whatever storyline we were on.
Yeah. And I do that on the show.
But
the podcast that we're doing
you
now.
do it all the time.
Yeah,
But here's
I
the
do.
thing. Here's the thing, though. Somehow we made it work. Like, somehow, like, because I don't know if you remember.
It all came full circle.
Like, again, we're doing, like, this is happening. We're going through. We're mystery science. We're watching it. I'm gonna have to change the format, but by God, we're playing that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And we will go. We'll just do a live commentary on it, because that was what I was going to say was, back when we did it, I put it on DVD eventually. Like, it took me a while to do it, but I put it on DVD, and we did a director commentary. I had figured out through my DVD creating software how to do live director commentary, and so we were able to put a direct. That's the one thing I don't have anymore. I don't know where that original DVD is anymore. Luckily, I still have it on electronic form. I was able to capture it, and I have it in electronic form.
That's
so I don't have the
hilarious.
DVD of it anymore, which is unfortunate. But because of that, I feel like I lost the director commentary.
I feel like I donated my copies of it to like Goodwill.
Just to see if it got out there.
Just to see
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
Just to see if it would like get out into the ether.
That is brilliant. I didn't even think about that. What a brilliant idea.
I think that's what I did with mine.
Because, I mean, this thing had cover to it. Like, the discs were like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it had a cover to it, the disc. I think it had a synopsis on the back or something.
Even if, like, an employee at Goodwill finds this, they're like, oh, my God.
What is this? Yeah.
I want to throw this in the trash, but I don't.
It needs to hit YouTube. Like, I think what's going to end up happening is I think I'm going to end up posting it on YouTube or something like that. And then, but we need to... I need to set up another screen up here so we can have it, and
That's
then
a fantastic idea.
we can watch it. I love it. I feel like that's the next one. That's the next one. That's what we're doing.
I'm okay with that.
But this stupid flick, man, was the Blair. I mean, that's what it ended up being. Damn rich.
Yeah.
Rocked me.
The budget was nothing.
Nothing. The marketing again was genius. But it didn't cost them any money to do the marketing.
I think they spent like $60,000 on it, and they made millions. Something ridiculous.
The Blair Witch Project was absolutely brilliant, and then we watched it. We saw it in the theater back in '99, and then you were living next to a graveyard at the time, a cemetery.
It was
little tiny cemetery, and I just remember
in
both of
Avon,
us,
Indiana.
Yeah, both of us going home that night to your place, and we were just like, this is creeping me out a little bit.
Yeah.
And
I was scared stiff to sleep in that house next to that graveyard.
Yeah. It was a little creepy.
So because we watched it opening night.
Yeah,
like that Friday night.
Right. I don't think
all the marketing said
we
it was
thought
real.
it was real.
The marketing said it was real.
Right.
And that opening night, Friday night, I thought it was real, and it freaked me the heck
Absolutely.
out. And I didn't find out it was fake until like the next morning on the radio. And I was like, "Oh my God, you got to be kidding me!"
Yeah, I don't know when. I don't remember when I found out that it was fake. I just remember knowing it was. I felt like it was real when we were watching it.
Yeah, to me, it was real. That night, it was real.
The lore in that movie is phenomenal, and even spilling over into, they did the Blair Witch Book of Shadows sequel, which was a turd, but it did something really interesting that I feel like gets overlooked, and it shouldn't get overlooked, is that it tells you the twist at the very beginning of the movie. Like, at the very beginning of the movie, they're pulling out all of their gear that they're going to go take on this little journey to and I loved how they spun it into, the movie came out, and it, pop culture went crazy, and so people are out there trying to figure out if it's real or not real or all this stuff. And they played into that type of marketing even still, right? And they hit you over the head with the twist on it, where they say the main character, or not the main character, but one of the characters that's constantly filming everything or shooting everything on his video camera, flat out has the line that says, "Film lies, video doesn't." And everything he films on his video camera is capturing what you find out is the truth. And so while you're watching the film, you see the warped perception. You see these things happening that you think are supernatural or whatever. But then when you watch the video that the police show him later that he took, or had the video cameras, the security video camera feeds, you see him committing all the crimes, all the heinous acts, and all the murders and everything like that. They told you what was going to happen. And I love that. Like, again, I had more appreciation for that movie after it was over than I did while I was watching. While I was watching, it was painful. It was awful. Poorly acted, poorly shot, whatever. But afterwards, after finding out what that twist was, I did have more appreciation for it. Now, did you ever see the reboot that they did? Which ended up being, I mean, I guess it was a sequel, but it was like, because it was about him finding his sister.
I remember watching it, but I don't really remember it.
It was kind of forgettable. Watching it, I was freaked out. Like, I wasn't quite Blair Witch level freaked out, but it did freak me out enough to where I remember enjoying it. I just don't remember it being as memorable as that original Blair Witch. That original Blair Witch Project movie was kind of my indie Bible. Like, I was like, I want to make movies like this somehow. I wanted to go more guerrilla style with it and everything like that. And that's why we tried this spoof idea. We were already messing. We both had aspirations of doing that stuff anyway, and so we were trying different things and what could we do with the video cameras. Again, this was before we had computers to do any nonlinear editing or anything like that. So everything had to be linear. Everything had to be done either in camera or on between two VCR decks. Like, that's what we had to work with.
It was edited with VCRs.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of editing problems with it. Even going back and watching it right now, like, there are choices that I made in that, well, I was putting it together, looking back now, going, what the hell was I thinking? Like, I know my brain was probably, like, there's a moment where we turn left and we're literally just going to make a circle back to where we were, and that was the whole joke of it. But for some reason, my brain said, I need to show that we elapsed time, so I ended up throwing in some just B-roll that I had shot out at your dad's wooded area, and then all of a sudden, there's a random edit mistake flash of your brother's butt. It's literally our Tyler Durden shot.
I think that was meant to be. I don't think
it was meant to be. I think it was a happy accident.
Done on purpose.
I don't know. I think it was a happy accident. I mean, I look back at it now and I'm like, yeah, that's our Tyler Durden. And yeah,
because they were both 99. They were Fight Club and Blair Witch were both 99.
I just remember that was the way
summer. Those were both summer 99 movies.
We interpreted it as that was our Tyler Durden shot. I don't think it was meant to. I don't think it was meant to be there. It just ended up happening. Because it was because it was all around the same time.
It was the butt. It was the butt itch.
It was the butt. Well, that was the whole point.
The butt itch.
I'm telling you, it was a happy accident. I promise you, it was a happy accident. It just ended up being like, it's one of those things. If you didn't tell people it was a happy accident, they would have been like, that brilliant, you know, like one of those. And while the filmmaker's sitting back going, you guys are freaking idiots. That was an accident, you know. But it was like, it was shot because all the footage I was showing ahead of time off that exact same tape was just the trees right before we got to that spot with Boner. Like, that was where we were going. And so the tape just played too long. Like, that was what happened. And I couldn't stop it fast enough. And I didn't go back to record, but it makes it seem brilliant.
That's awesome.
It makes it seem brilliant.
Truly awesome.
That was one of those things that was just super fun.
The wind.
I see. This is what he's got going problems with now. See, what he did here is he reached too far and he overcompensated for the reach. So when he came back, he's going to hit this mic right here. See, Mike, and this is what he does. He hits that mic, and then he has nothing to do but overcorrect. And when he overcorrects, he hits the mic again. And that is what makes good football great.
I'm telling you, I'm growing John Madden eyebrows. Currently, as we
I just
speak,
wish I could do the voice. Like, I wish I could do John Madden's voice.
John Madden eyebrows. Like, the older I get, the longer these things get. Like, pretty soon, they're going to be like caterpillars, just like on top of my eyes. I've just got these things that are just like floating in the wind.
That's great. You got to work on the voice though, or I got to work on the voice. I got to figure out. I got to get a bunch of tape together of
the instant replays. Great on.
You love that. You like the instant replay. Again, I need a telestrator where I could draw around your eyebrow, like over here, like the eyebrows are over here and they're growing this way. See, this is what they're doing, and then the base is all going to be in this direction here. but instead these guys are going to go this way, and then that's what makes the eyebrows caterpillars.
Yeah, that should be our next horror comedy. Is John Madden eyebrows? The brow itch.
The brow itch.
The Brow Itch Project.
We talked about making a sequel to the Butt Itch Project, and we were going to put you in a loincloth, but we were going to make the loincloth make it look hairy, as if it was like your butt hair had grown.
The butt itch had
spread all over your junk and everything like that. And that was going to be like, we were going to turn you into like a little Gollum kind of character.
That's awesome.
Out there. You don't remember this?
No.
You don't remember this conversation? Oh my God, we totally had this conversation. We totally had. Matter of fact, it's on that director commentary that I can't find anymore.
That's awesome.
We talked about it then.
Truly awesome.
That we wanted to do a sequel to this. We were going to get some other people to be in it, and I think we talked about like having your brother like lead the expedition, since he was like the guy that sent us out there the first time, right? Oh, the Butt Itch Project.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the Butt Itch Project.
We're gonna live stream it, folks. For you,
live streaming the Butt Itch Project. It's a horror show. Like, it is a total horror show. It looks like, just playing it today. It's
amateur at best.
Oh my God! Like, it's not even. It's
less than amateur.
It's awful. The sound on it. Like, I feel. Trust me. Every fiber in my being wants to take that and clean it up before we show it.
Yeah. I can see that.
But I don't know if I should. You know what I'm saying? Like, do we just play it in all of its awfulness? Here's the biggest problem with it
that makes perfect sense.
I may have to do this regardless. And I wonder what it's going to sound like. But the sound is god awful. I mean, it's just awful. Sure. And because all we're using is the onboard mics on these two little dinky cameras.
Yeah, and we're screaming the whole time.
Screaming,
like peeking the mics the entire time.
Not even peeking, dude, because we were never even like near the mic. Like it was just, I don't know, man. Like, first of all, I'm like, either one of us is always behind the mic.
You
first
just made
of
me
all,
snort.
Well, watching that is gonna make you do a lot more. That is a. We need to get some beers. We're gonna set up a little projector on the stream page so everybody can watch. Because I don't think, other than the end, I used the music of. I always feel like somebody's watching me by Rockwell. Other than that, I don't think there's anything in there that we couldn't show. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think there's any copyrighted stuff or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's totally safe for that. I'd love to go back and show that horror movie that we did one night out at that graveyard.
I think that was the same night we watched Blair Witch.
You think we did it all the same night?
I think we watched Blair Witch Project and then shot a short film in the graveyard next to my house.
It's therapeutic for us, apparently.
I don't think we could sleep. We were freaked out.
Yeah, that was a great.
I'm pretty sure that was the same night we watched Blair Witch. We were freaked out, and we just went and made this like stupid little short horror film in the graveyard.
The quality of this stuff is so like I tried to watch that too, and it's just like it's almost, you can't even hardly see what the hell's going on. Again, that's where I wonder, can I clean it up at all? Can I make it look better? I don't know. Just so it's easier
that's how
to watch.
Feel about a lot of my student films, because I shot them on 16 millimeter,
right?
And when we projected them, they were beautiful.
Yeah,
like they were truly beautiful. And then when we did the video transfers, they looked like crap.
Really?
So the ones that are on YouTube, like that you can watch for educational purposes, they look horrible. The colors are matted. They're grainy. They don't look good. Like, eating pictures projected on film was beautiful, man.
Really?
Beautiful.
Yeah, it does look. And again, a lot of this stuff especially was captured. The video transfer was done in standard def, which doesn't help, especially things right now.
Yeah.
Because I was clicking through. Everything is on, and I got to transfer everything. I'm going to do that tonight when we're done. Everything is on this hard drive right here. Nice. I found it tonight before you got here. So everything is on there. So I want to get all that stuff off before that hard drive dies or something like that, and get it up on the cloud. But I want to say, like, But going through that hard drive, I probably had over a terabyte worth of just like fun little films, schlock, spoopy stuff, spoopy stuff. Now some of it
schlock films and spoopy films.
Some of it was
student films.
Some of it was buddy
spooky films.
I think some of it was buddy. Some of it was like Rachel and I's wedding. I don't remember what the rest of it was, but I found some of my old acting gigs on this freaking hard drive, like stupid stuff. But anyway, so it's gonna get pulled off, and like I said, I'd love to do I'd love to see what the Butt Itch project actually looks like on there. The film itself, I don't think is something you can just sit and watch for 90 minutes, listening to us
scream.
Well, I was gonna say listening to us rip about it, I think would be at least a little insightful with it. I don't know
how not to make a horror spoof.
Yeah, I mean, again, keep in mind this is done in '99, right?
Yeah.
It was it 99 or 98? It was 99, right?
So the Blair Witch project came out in '99.
Okay,
that was the summer after. So that was 2000.
Oh, so we did it in 2000.
We did it in 2000, summer of 2000.
Wow.
I think.
I honestly don't remember. It would make sense, but I feel like we did it in '99.
Perhaps.
I honestly don't know if there's any.
I don't know.
I don't know if there's any way to check to see.
I was underage drinking a lot back then.
Shush. We do not speak of such things.
Yeah. Right?
There are children watching.
Yeah,
So,
I mean there might be.
There are.
I underage drank. You should not. I'm a hypocrite. Remember.
Here's the deal, though.
My hypocrisy knows no bounds.
I'm gonna say this right now before we ever watch the Butt Itch project. We were never once drunk during the making of that.
It's true,
and we should have been.
It's all silliness.
Yeah.
It's all crazy improv BS, just off the top of the head.
I mean, think about literally that. I'm telling you right now, there's a genius to that film. Okay, like it looks awful, it sounds awful. It was made 20 years ago, deck to deck off of little handy cams, but story wise, not having a single clue what we were gonna do. Right, we literally just said, "Oh, we'll go in the woods and we'll figure it out." And we spent 2 different days doing it or something like that.
Yeah, it was 2 days.
Like one day and then one night or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
And because we changed clothes. We even changed clothes halfway, when the night switches, we're like, yeah, whatever. We did, you know what? I think we did have a line for that though, because we shot the beginning of that, the getting ready portion. We shot that when we did the night portion. And so we were in the clothes as if it took us forever to go somewhere, but yet somehow we shoved all of our clothes into our camera bags or something like that. We had a logical explanation.
Anna.
What the hell was I going to say?
It made sense in '99.
Yeah.
Or 2000 or
whenever it was. But the whole, do you remember the idea was somehow we came up with the I don't know if it was Boner that fed us the line. Somebody came up with the idea that the Butt Itch lived in water, in a body of water.
I don't remember where that came from, but that was the.
And so
that was the ending was a pond,
right?
The river,
right?
We went over a bridge over a river.
We went over a bridge over a river. You died.
That's what gave me the butt itch.
Right, you were possessed because you decided to go look at this, look at this bridge. The bridge was calling you for some reason, and you went, and all of a sudden you collapsed, and then you were like, "Look over the edge," and I panned the camera, and then there's the river.
Oh God!
And so it all worked. All of a sudden, it was "Oh my gosh, we found the river, and now you're possessed, and we thought you died." But then at the end, what you were doing was leading me to the real body of water that river fed into, which was the pond. That you're standing there scratching your butt at the end of the thing, just it being in the basement in the Blair Witch project. And all of a sudden,
the guy's standing in the corner.
Yeah.
I was scratching my butt in front of the pond.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense. But I'm telling you, like, that was not planned. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden it was just like, we came up with it and said, yeah, this is how we're going to go. And, yeah, this somehow it all worked.
Yeah, it came full circle.
It
was a perfect Hollywood narrative.
A perfect Hollywood narrative. The Butt Itch Project is it should be studied in film school on the perfect Hollywood narrative.
Yeah, it's in a Goodwill somewhere. A Goodwill store near you.
I just imagine that thing now hopping around at different Goodwills, hanging out with a garden gnome all the time. You know, that's crazy.
It's out there somewhere.
Hopefully, I hate to see that buried next to the ET game out in the desert.
Yeah, that's probably what happened to it.
Jeez,
somebody was probably like, "What? It's not the Blair Witch. It's the Butt Itch."
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch this at home, and then I'm gonna throw it away.
I'm gonna throw it and end up in a landfill next to the ET game.
Yes, every copy of it is in Alamogordo, New Mexico, in a landfill.
And that's where the Blair Witch Project is number one on my list. As far as honestly
scary movies.
As far as scary
that terrify you to this day.
That terrify me to this day because in all sincerity, my brain goes back to the way I felt when I was watching it, and there were so many moments. What are you doing?
I'm bringing my list back.
Gotcha. I thought you were. I thought you were going to show me that you had it as not your number one or something.
No,
it's probably not even on your list.
It's not on my list. It did not make the list.
That's a damn shame.
Blair Witch didn't make the list. Book of Shadows didn't make the list.
Yeah.
The reboot didn't make the list.
That's a damn shame.
And the spoof that we did not make the list.
Spoopy. It's a spoopy movie.
Can you see the top of the? Can you see the one at the top?
So it's going at the top. John dies at the end is the top. That doesn't make any sense.
It's at the top of my list.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You're just obsessed with that movie right now.
I love John Dies at the End.
Yeah.
Love John Dies. I've read the book. I've absorbed the movie in its entirety multiple times. And it's at the top of my list.
Well, to each their own.
Yeah. I mean, what do I know?
What do you know?
Go see it for yourself. Make your own opinion about the Butt Itch Project.
Oh my God, Becky!
Stop hitting the mic stand. Stop hitting the wind tunnel.
Now
thing.
see if Madden was watching, he watched me scratch this shoulder over here to my left without ever making contact.
Am I gonna have to go stand in the corner and
You're
scratch my butt?
Stand in the corner, scratch your butt, and I'm gonna start screaming, going ah, 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 as the camera falls. That scene in the Blair Witch where they're all in the tent and they think they hear something. They're all sitting there and they're waiting for something to happen or trying to listen, and then they start shaking, like it was the filmmakers out there shaking the tent. That terrifies. I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it, because that terrifies me. Do you remember when we were kids? We would always camp out in your dad's front backyard or whatever.
Yeah,
right.
We'd pitch a tent in the backyard. A huge tent. It was like a 10-man tent.
That is exactly what she said. Yeah. Thank you, Vincent. So we were there one night, and the neighbor girls got all dressed up one night in like this weird, like they put like wraps over their head or whatever, and like overcoats and everything. And I just remember waking up.
They were like eyes without a face.
Yeah. To you screaming, "Get out of here! Get out of here!" And there's this creeper standing in the doorway to this tent. Okay? So when I'm watching the Blair Witch Project...
I remember this, but I don't remember what I said.
You were like yelling. You were, "Get out of here!" Like you were screaming. "Get out of here, man! Get out of here!"
That's awesome.
It was like we were all just paralyzed. And obviously they had woken you up. So I don't know how.
I don't think I had slept.
Maybe that's what it was.
I think they had creeped us out. Like they told us a horror story. We had these like attractive women that were our age, and they were our next door neighbors.
They had the trampoline.
They had a trampoline, and they had like a little playhouse in their backyard. So we would camp out all the time. Like that stupid tent would be up for like weeks at a time.
So this was up the whole summer. Like it would just stay up.
Yeah. This tent was up all summer long, and we would camp out in the middle of Avon, Indiana, with these hot neighbors that would terrify us.
And we loved every minute
and
of it.
I swear that they set it up perfectly. Like they were like, oh, there's this guy out, and
like we just heard on the news or something.
He wears this mask.
Yeah.
And I was creeped out already. I probably wasn't sleeping.
Get out of here, man! Get out of here, man!
Get out of here!
I just remember shooting straight up, going, "What is happening?" And I see this figure standing in the doorway because, like, they had like unzipped the, like they were just peeking in the tent.
Yeah, they like stuck their head in. They were dressed in all black and had like gauze wrapped around their heads with their eyes sticking out.
And I'm so
freaking me out. It was like eyes without a face.
It literally it's like just in my brain now, right? And so I'm watching the Blair Witch in this tent, and they're waiting for something to happen, and all of a sudden they start shaking the damn tent.
Sure.
It was like a night terror coming back to my subconscious from that moment.
From that night. And then we all like held hands and hung out on the trampoline. and they came clean and told us it was them.
I was pissed.
And then we sang Kumbaya.
Kumbaya. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's why that moment still freaks me out to this day.
Because we lived it.
And it just I'll never forget it. And that's why it's still at the top of my list because of that. But it's a movie, again, it doesn't necessarily give me pause to grab off the shelf and watch, because it still creeps me out a little bit, but not to that level of some of the other ones that are lower on my list. But that one for sure, just because of what it did, it became this shaky cam footage, found footage kind of thing. I mean, it was all like, it's because of that movie. And it was a marketing genius move on their part.
A milestone.
Yeah, it was
for the horror genre.
It was incredible what they were able to do with it.
So I told you my top 3, right? My top 3 that freaked me out.
Well, John, that freak you out? Okay.
Yeah, my top 3 that like freaked me out.
Okay, go for it.
So the
Innkeepers.
The Innkeepers. We've talked about it a couple times. Insidious.
Okay.
Sinister.
Those are your top 3.
Those are like my top 3. Freak me out every time.
Why does Insidious or Sinister freak you out?
Oh gosh, Insidious freaks me out because of. Sorry,
what was that?
That was my throat. I have a drinking problem.
There's a fly in there.
Yeah, no, I have a drinking problem. It was like drainage. It's a drainage issue. Anyway, why does Insidious freak me out? It's because of this child's being attacked by these ghosts that want to inhabit his body.
Okay. That
freaks me out. It also freaks me out because the same thing happened to the father.
Okay.
Popcorn. It freaks me out because it's like a ghost story.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general, ghost stories freak me out. The Innkeepers is another ghost story.
Mm-hmm.
And Sinister's another ghost story. And they just give me this.
There's not one element you can zero in on. I mean,
I think it's ghost stories in
Tell
general.
me how you really feel.
So, to be perfectly honest with you, ghost stories I feel are kind of inspirational because it gives you the idea that there is life after death.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, they're kind of inspirational.
Okay.
On some level. But because of that, you're still trapped on Earth. You still haven't evolved to the next level.
So do you believe in ghosts?
I've never actually seen one,
mm-hmm.
but I have felt things
mm-hmm.
that made me feel like there are.
Mm-hmm.
Like once I was in my recliner and I was leaning back, I was watching a show. It could have been that I was just falling asleep. It could have just been like my weight was thrown off, but I swear to God, something grabbed my wrists and pulled me backward.
Mm-hmm.
Like something pulled me backward, and I was right next to the wall. Like that wall was an outdoor wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like something would have had to have reached in through the wall and pulled me down.
Oh boy.
I have experienced some sleep paralysis. Not as much as like Rodney Asher's The Nightmare sleep paralysis documentary. I haven't experienced it on that level, but I have been like pinned down while I was sleeping and had something like punch me in the face multiple times.
Really?
While I was sleeping, and I've woken up with like that feeling that I felt like somebody punched me in the face.
So you don't think like I'm going to go back to like because you had an incident like that. I'm not going to get into that story, but you don't think that's your subconscious playing a trick on you?
I mean, it could be. It could just like you mentioned earlier that you had really vivid dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Those could be like examples of my really vivid dreams.
Okay.
I don't know, because every time I've ever had an experience like that, it was some type of sleep.
Okay.
It was some type of, like you were between the waking, sleeping consciousness thing, whatever you call that, twilight or whatever you call that. But each experience I've ever had like that has been during that time.
Gotcha.
I've never seen anything with my own eyes. I can't like say, yes, I've seen ghosts, blah, 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 whatever.
Right.
I'm the Sixth Sense. That's what was based on me.
I can't say people.
I can't say that.
All right.
But I've had weird things happen to me.
Okay.
That I can't explain.
Okay. Fair enough.
I've been places and I've felt like something bad has happened in this place. Like I get like a very weird sense of like dread, or something's watching me, or something weird. Like the theater in Brownsburg. Like I hated working at that movie theater in Brownsburg.
Really?
This every night that I was there by myself. Like if I had to build a movie and watch the movie after I built it to make sure it was put together the right way, I would just feel like there was something else there with me.
In Brownsburg,
okay. Indiana.
Okay.
There was that theater. I don't know what it's currently called, but
I don't
think it
either.
was Pavilion.
Pavilion at the time.
Pavilion at the time. Whenever I was there, and sometimes it didn't even happen when I was by myself. Sometimes there were other people in the theater, but when I was up in that projection booth, I felt like something was there with me. There was some kind of presence.
Wow.
Like watching me.
Wow.
And I have felt that at other places too.
Having those feelings like that you've already experienced, would you ever go on a ghost hunt?
Yeah, I would.
You would? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I might have to be like throw my hands up and be like, I'm done. I quit.
Sure.
And leave. But yeah, I would, just to see if I get those feelings again.
Interesting. That's very interesting. I've done one that we covered once, and it was kind of the same.
Central State?
Yeah, Central State, and it was kind of the same thing where it was I never saw anything, but I just remember we were in one part of the building, and all of a sudden you heard like what sounded like something tip over on like the other end of the hallway we were in. And so we all went down there as quick as we could to see if we could, find activity or even see what could have been that. We couldn't find anything that would have made that noise, right? And as soon as we all got down there, we heard it behind us at the other end of the hallway we were just at. It was the weirdest thing on the world. And as soon as we went back down to that end of the hallway, we all got goosebumps. Like every single one of us, it was like a chill or something went through the air, and we all just goosebumps just happened. Like we were all like looking at, under the light, like we were all getting them.
Sure.
That's about the closest I've ever, like, because we spent multiple days? We spent 2 nights there. And that was the only thing that really ever happened, we ever heard, or anything like that.
I mean, Central State's an interesting spot because it was a mental hospital.
Yes.
And the state of Indiana shut it down.
Right.
And all those people that were there were just let loose into the city.
Right. That's where the majority of our homeless comes from.
Yeah, the majority of the homeless in Indiana are currently old patients from Central State.
Yeah, a good portion of it.
As well as the one down south. There was a mental hospital down south in southern Indiana, and they did the same thing. They lost funding. They just let these people loose. The one down south, it's by North Vernon, Indiana.
I can't think of what it's called. I know what you're talking about. I can't think of what it's called, though.
Yeah, I can't either. But there was a state mental hospital there, and they just let these people go.
I actually took our old buddy Mike Hawkins on that on that ghost hunt with me, and because I wanted him to run. He was going to run a camera for me, and it's very interesting. When we got all the footage back, there was one moment where there was a tape that when you watched it, it had a bunch of digital interference in it, like. And I don't know if you remember what digital interference looks like, but it's like it's kind of pixelated kind of thing, like weird, colored, blocky kind of things that happened to it because it was all done on mini DV tape, right? And a lot of it was unusable. Like it was just frankly unusable. Like I could not put it in the show that we were doing or anything like that. So fast forward to a year later, and of course it was Mike's camera, so I was blaming Mike for it. But fast forward to a year later, I'm watching a documentary that some local dudes had done on that before we ever went there. It was probably 2 or 3 years before we ever went there. And they were in the same area that we were in, and all of a sudden that exact same thing started happening to their footage.
Interesting.
They went ahead and used it in their clip. And all of a sudden, I was like, it could be a magnetic interference kind of situation for whatever reason in that specific area. But they were getting some activity going on in that area. And that's what they were bummed. Like, they were talking about how bummed they were that their footage was all distorted and everything like that. And literally, this exact same point where we were when that started happening to Mike's camera. And it was too weird to be a coincidence. But there was like strange things like that. But that was that was a crazy time because we went in through one door and you had to snake your way through like a vent system.
You were like underground,
and so to get underground, so that we had to get underground because underneath that area
came back up somewhere else
were tunnels. Like that's how they would move patients, so they wouldn't let them loose. They would move them all underground. And so we found gurneys and stuff down there that were just abandoned, and patients died down there. And that was the whole thing. Is some patients would get loose, they'd basically lose their way in these catacomb kind of areas, and they would just die. And or in the dark they'd knock their head and get killed or whatever. Or there were reports of some orderlies that killed them and stuff like that. But yeah, we had to kind of crawl through the ground and then go through these tunnels and then crawl our way back up. And I just remember, I was, it was difficult to get in and out of some of these spaces. And then once we were in the area, because the whole outside of these buildings were all boarded up, and you couldn't just open a door. Like that was the whole point. So you had to find a way to get through the ground level to get into those areas to access the buildings that you wanted to ghost hunt in. And it was wild, man. It was a wild experience, and to the point where I would like to do it again.
So while you were telling the story about Mike, I was in the Air Force with Mike.
All right.
And he is a wonderful writer and director of the horror genre.
Sure.
He's written novels as well as like short films in this genre. Wonderful filmmaker, wonderful writer. But Muscatatuck is the other state hospital.
Okay.
It made me think of it for some reason while you were telling that great story.
Oh.
Muscatatuck State Mental Hospital. It was in Muscatatuck, Indiana, which is near North Vernon. But I actually did a military assignment there. I was there for. It wasn't like a full week. I think it was like 5 days of training, but very similar. It was an old mental hospital. They had tunnels. They had creepy buildings. When I was there for this training, it was a training like post 9/11 on how to deal with an event, like an urban event, like of mass destruction.
Okay.
And we did it at that Muscatatuck State Hospital. So it was, I don't know if it still is, but it was bought by the Army.
Okay.
The Indiana State Military or National Guard bought this property for training purposes. But when I was there, they're like opening the drawers in the rooms. There was still underwear from these mental patients.
Crazy.
Like there was still like shower shoes.
Wow.
Under the beds. I mean, it was super creepy.
Wow.
But yeah, it was the same deal as Central State. Mike wasn't there on that particular voyage. But yeah, it was a military training site, but very creepy.
That's wild. The city of Indianapolis actually, and I don't care if I get in trouble for saying this or not, but the city of Indianapolis actually shut our. We were doing a 2-part episode for that particular Central State show. And after the first one was released, the city of Indianapolis sent us a cease and desist order on that. It said shut it down. They were trying to sell that land. They wanted to sell that land. They wanted to demolish it. They wanted to put condos on it. And they were worried that negative publicity like that could halt any progress on that. So instead of the truth really coming out about, because that, like, the ghost part of it was a side of it, but it was also like what really like went on there, right?
Sure.
And instead of wanting the truth to come out, the city shut it down and it died. Now you can find that second part. It is out there on YouTube. I don't know who put it out there, but it's out there.
So, something interesting. Brownsburg, Indiana, was just like Poltergeist. There were Native American burial grounds that were moved.
No kidding.
In Brownsburg, Indiana.
Where at?
All over.
Under the theater?
All over Brownsburg. I don't know particularly the north side of Brownsburg. I don't know this particular history of like where these things were originally and where they were moved to.
Yikes.
But I do know in Brownsburg, Indiana, that did happen. Like the same thing that happened in Poltergeist, where suburbs were being constructed. There were Native American burial sites that were moved.
Yeah.
Just like I'm moving the wind tunnel.
Circle it on the illustrator.
Yeah, that did happen in Brownsburg, Indiana.
Wow. I always knew I never wanted to go to Brownsburg.
Yeah. But that's where that Pavilion Theater was that we mentioned earlier.
Right. Yeah.
Where I would get these odd feelings.
That's crazy.
Once again, never saw anything. I can't confirm anything, but I did get these like dark, oppressive feelings when I was there by myself.
And that's part of the deal. Some of the unexplained stuff is hard to dismiss, because unless you can really prove otherwise, how can you sit there and say that it's not?
No, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
There's no way that could happen.
Right.
How do you know?
I mean, part of it's like you want to say it doesn't happen just because you want to ease your own mind that something like that can't happen.
I want to know that those dark feelings I had were in my own head or whatever.
In my brain, I'm not looking down on you for saying, like, I didn't want it to come across as, you believe in ghosts. Like,
well, I did not want this episode to become that,
but I personally do. I feel like there is something there. Like I am totally that weirdo. I believe in aliens. I believe in ghosts. I don't know if I believe in possession, but those two parts of that extraterrestrial type thing, unexplained, I do.
I'll tell you what I believe about the unexplained. I believe
it's unexplainable.
I believe that there are planets where there are beings like us, where we can see the space-time continuum the way we see it. the way we understand it, right? Like there's a line that represents time, and as that that line is moving forward constantly, the universe is constantly expanding. But I also believe that gravity is such an awesome force, and I know this scientifically, that it warps space and time. And people on other planets, because that space and time has been warped, they perceive time differently than us.
Mm-hmm.
And because they perceive time differently than us, we can't always see them.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that happens everywhere, all around us. So because that perception of time and space is different for people that have evolved in different gravity than the gravity that we evolved in, I believe that, we can't perceive them. And they probably can't perceive us.
It's an interesting way to look at it. I just think they have green skin and big eyes. And they're being hidden somewhere next to the Ark of the Covenant.
Yes, the Greys and the reptilian-like aliens that are out there. Or what do I know?
What do you know? Boy.
Go see these aliens for yourself. Make your own opinion.
Make your own opinions. Oh, my God. This podcast went way out in left field. But you know what? It still all kind of fits. We're all talking about Spooktober.
The supernatural, the things we can't explain.
Spooktober, Spoopytober, scariness.
Perhaps my theory is spoopy.
Your theory,
I don't know,
is spoopy. Here's the thing.
You don't know.
Here's the thing. There are so many good, great shows and movies to be watching right now during the month of October that you should be watching The Blair Witch Project. You should be watching John Dies at the End. You should be watching The Shawns of the Dead, The Frighteners.
Do you want me to read my list?
Go through your list quickly. Go for it. Read your list.
It's long. Don't get me wrong.
Just
John Dies at the End. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. What We Do in the Shadows. The Final Girls. Donnie Darko. Nightmare Before Christmas. Tales of Halloween. VHS 2, 1, 3. Southbound. Holidays. After Midnight. Oh, that's a great recent one. After Midnight.
Don't know After Midnight.
Oh my God, it's good. The Frighteners. Fright Night. From Beyond. Reanimator. The Bride of Reanimator. Beyond Reanimator. Insidious, Get Out, Us, The Shining, Room 237, The Nightmare, Dr. Sleep, Oculus, The Devil's Backbone, Pan's Labyrinth, The Innkeepers, Bone Tomahawk.
Wait. You put Pan's Labyrinth in a horror movie?
Yeah.
You call that that's not a fantasy movie for you?
Fantasy horror.
Oh, come on. We're blurring lines.
Sure.
Okay, continue on.
That thing with the eyeballs and its hands.
Fantasy.
Freaked me the heck out.
Fantasy.
The
not as much as the gate with the hand with the eyeball.
I haven't seen it. I need to watch it.
My God.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show, The Babysitter, The Babysitter Killer Queen, The Babadook, another recent good one. Sinister. Don't watch the Sinister sequel. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Evil Dead, the reboot, the second one, Army of Darkness, the third one.
Oh my God.
Cabin in the Woods, Young Frankenstein.
You went nuts with the list here.
Ready or Not, The Host, Frankenweenie, Hubie Halloween, Kronos, Hush, The Conjuring, Amityville, Jaws, The Mist, Eraserhead, Blue Velvet, another David Lynch great, The Descent, Rosemary's Baby, Psycho, Rear Window, Nightbreed, Mandy, Society, Bubba Hotep, 1BR or One Bedroom, Attack the Block, Color Out of Space, Crimson Peak, The Good Manners, The House of the Devil, Ouija, Origin of Evil, Overlord, Relic, Phantasm, Thirst, 10 Cloverfield Lane, Vampire's Kiss, Beetlejuice, Poltergeist, Monster Squad.
I mean, you might as well have just listed every damn horror movie out there.
Those are the ones I like to watch during the month of October.
How do you have the time in the month of October to watch that many?
I don't.
You do not.
I don't. I didn't know where we were going with this episode. I just started listing stuff that I like.
We're trying to give people an opportunity to maybe, grab like 1-2 movie. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'd love to do a 30 days.
I was thinking of like 31 Days of October, man. Is where I was going with this, and I was really.
But see, here's what's interesting is like Sleepy Hollow wasn't on that list.
No.
That blows my mind.
I didn't put it on the list.
That blows my mind.
I like Tim Burton. I think I would rather watch Edward Scissorhands than Sleepy Hollow.
Do we consider Edward Scissorhands a Christmas movie? Because I kind of do.
Christmas movie, or Nightmare Before Christmas. They're both kind of Halloween-y. Mm-hmm. They're both kind of Christmassy. Right.
But my point is why wouldn't you put you put 4 different VHS movies on there? You put 4 different Evil Deads on there. Why couldn't you do a Sleepy Hollow and Edward Scissorhands at that point? Like, why? You know what I mean? It's not like you picked one.
That's a good point. I like Sleepy Hollow, but one that I want to watch every October, it is not.
No, really?
Really?
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I like Christopher Walken. I like Johnny Depp. I like Tim Burton. However, I just don't care to see it.
Okay, fair enough.
At this point in time, maybe next year.
Okay, Ian McDermott's in it, baby. The Emperor.
It's a good point. Jeffrey Jones. Is that
just saying?
Helena Bonham Carter? No, Christina Ricci is in it.
Christina Ricci's in it.
Yeah. Yeah. It has an interesting cast, great ensemble. Just not something I want to see every October.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let me think. We're thinking. Oh, there's a break coming up. We're going to do a quick break, and we'll be right back.